Welcome back, everyone. POW Ponder Weather here. In this update, we're going to be talking about this massive winter storm winding down, but it all ends with a frigid plunge in temperatures and a quick warm up as we head in to next week. So let's take a look at the overall temperature anomalies for your February so far, and you can actually see how this whole setup kind of played out. We've been talking about this polar vortex disruption back on January the 8th. That pushed down there from the Arctic all the way through Greenland, entered Canada, headed into the United States, and that massive plunge in temperatures all the way down to Mexico. And we talked about it was going to create a battle zone fighting this southeast ridge with these well above average temperature anomalies every step of the way. But the Arctic air mass was eventually going to win the war. But unfortunately, that set the stage for that ice storm that unfolded across the southern plains and the mid-south. The good thing is that is coming to an end, and it is definitely winding down, but it all ends with this plunge in temperatures up there in the northeast. As the polar vortex will start to retreat, it really maximizes over portions of Ontario and Quebec, and those colder temperatures enter the northeast heading into Saturday morning, and they see temperatures well below zero, and those wind chills are frigid up there into portions of New England. So if you do like detailed weather breakdowns on North America and are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel, and it's also important to hit the like button as well. It definitely helps out more than you know. And I also started a second channel. It has now been linked to my main channel. So if you go on my homepage, POW Ponder on Weather, you can go to channels and you can see my second channel, POW Ponder Ultra. You can click on that to go to my second channel, and I'll be uploading another video this afternoon on that channel. So definitely subscribe to that one as well. So let's take a look at the overall setup. Here is your winter storm that unfolded across good chunk of the southern plains and the mid-south. They've had a lot of power outages over Texas, a lot of ice. I mean, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is still below freezing. They're 80 something hours below freezing for the last couple of days, but all that is going to be ending heading into this afternoon as the melting process will start. And I know a lot of you guys are waiting to see when these things are, when it's going to warm up, and we do have warmer temperatures on the way. So let's take a look at the setup going into Saturday. So this is kind of the last gasp of this polar vortex and this Arctic plunge heading into Saturday morning. We still got some freezing temperatures in the morning time, but you can see these fingers moving further south. That's an indication that's going to be fighting those south winds. And so it's a matter of time before you quickly rebound. But check what happens up here into Ontario, back into Quebec. I mean, that's an actual temperature, folks. That is 42 below zero. That is seriously dangerous, cold stuff. And all the way up in there in the northeast, heading into Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, all these areas, upstate New York, below zero temperatures and very frigid air mass. If we zoom in to some of these feels like temperatures, it just gets crazy, dangerously cold. 71 below zero feels like. That is insanely cold, guys. All the way into Maine here, 40s, if not almost 60 degrees below zero feels like. So this is dangerous stuff, and definitely be on high alert to this frigid air mass really maximizing itself. I mean, even down here into Long Island and into New Jersey, there could be seeing below zero, feels like temperatures. I think Boston, ends, somewhere around 3 or 5 below zero on Saturday morning as an actual temperature. So it's been a while since you've seen something like that. I think it's been all the way been back to 2016, but definitely a frigid air mass with this last gasp of this polar vortex will be maximizing itself and then quickly going to be retreating back up there in the Arctic. This is the following day on Sunday, and this is the quick snapback of these warmer temperatures as the south winds crank. It really elevates and lists these above average temperature anomalies almost for a good chunk of the United States. It's amazing how quickly we warm back up, but check out where the Arctic temperatures are, right? They lift well back up into Canada. and more of a zonal flow kind of takes shape. So if we take a look at the jet stream, here's an indication of that zonal flow. Basically, it kind of flattens out. When it flattens out, it's coming from the Pacific side, and that's a warmer wind off the Pacific. And so, yes, next week we kind of wind things down and kind of normalize in a big way. And I know a lot of you guys are, anxious to get some reprieve and have some sunny weather out there. And I think a lot of sunshine is definitely going to be on the way. So, but let's take a look at the setup. What happens going into Sunday is the overall jet stream lifts, right? I showed you that overall zonal flow. So the next storm system heading into Sunday, look where the vorticity bat is coming in. That comes back into the Pacific Northwest, back into portions of Northern California. So the rains actually do come back for you guys up there into the Pacific Northwest and portions of California, while the rest of the country is experiencing those warmer conditions. But yes, take a look at the overall surface map as we head into Sunday with that trough digging back in. We are going to have some below average temperature anomalies out here off the West Coast, and some rain showers across Oregon, across Washington here, all the way through a good chunk of California. And some of this actually filters into central and even portions of Southern California. But notice the rest of the country, pretty clear as things start to retreat. And that's typically what happens when you have such an extreme air mass like this, what we had just for the past couple of days. Once this rebounds, the atmosphere kind of normalizes itself. So the following week is typically kind of less active, right? I mean, you can only have so much active weather, so the active weather has to go somewhere else, and it's not really going to be in the lower 48. So the temperatures are going to be normalizing and going to be above average as the Arctic air really retreats kind of well to the north. And you can definitely see that by Monday as the temperatures even warm up more. So we'll be actually in the 70s for a good part of Texas down here where they're experiencing those freezing temperatures. That's a massive rebound, folks. And that's the extreme weather that we're talking about, as just this quick snapback in warmer temperatures as you really start to elevate. The only cooler temperatures in town is really where that trough is, out here off the west. But for a good part of the US, you're going to be experiencing some above average temperatures heading into next week. So going into Tuesday, we've got that trough coming in out west, right? So that once it gets closer to a good chunk of the central US, that is going to be increasing the moisture a little bit. So by the time we get into Tuesday, here's the water vapor imagery pulling in some of that Gulf moisture back into Texas again, back over to portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas. You can see the feed here as it's feeding off this lift mechanism from this trough that came in off the west, and that's going to create showers heading into Tuesday timeframe for portions of Texas, into Louisiana, back into Arkansas, back into Mississippi, back into Oklahoma. It's not freezing. If anything, this is just all rain, not even a chilly rain. This is just an all rain event. Heading into your Tuesday, you can see where the freeze line is. That's the red line that lifts well to the north. So the freeze line's up there in Minnesota. It's up there just even kind of north of Wisconsin as we head into the afternoon. So that's definitely some warmer temperatures are definitely on the way. So heading into Wednesday, as the system will be pulling across the midsection of the country, it's going to create more showers along with it across the southeast, pulling up there through portions of the Ohio Valley, through Missouri, all the way through Illinois and Indiana, as this storm system will continue to shift eastbound as we head into your Thursday timeframe. By then, it should be elongated around portions of Florida, along the East Coast here, the extreme East Coast areas, back into Savannah, some portions of North Carolina, into Virginia, into portions of Delaware, into New Jersey, all the way along the I-95 corridor. This isn't snow, guys. There's not much Arctic air to speak of by then. It's just all rain as we head into your Thursday time frame. But for the rest of the country, you see it's pretty clear, right? So we got a lot of sunshine that's going to be on the table heading into next week. There's no doubt about it. And as this system kind of clears itself out, look what happens by Friday, right? We've got much clearer conditions by Friday, so it should be a nice day coming up by next Friday, heading into next week. So yes, things are going to be snapping back in a quick way. So we got a couple, a day or so left of that, colder temperatures, but then a quick snapback. You have that plunge in temperatures up in the Northeast. But yes, heading into next week, things look to be much nicer, but warmer, right? I mean, check this out, guys. It's hard to experience what we were dealt through for the past couple of days, because it's completely the opposite as we get back into Thursday and Friday of next week with these well above average temperatures. We'll be back 10, 15, upwards to 20 degrees, and even some of these places in the Northeast where they're going to be exceeding those extreme temperatures. It's just extreme the other way, right? Well above average temperatures, 25, in some spots maybe 30 above average for that time of year. So it is definitely a quick snapback in temperatures, and look where the Arctic air goes, right? And so this week, most of the time Alaska has been on the warmer side, but as the Arctic air retreats, and that's typically what happens, is right, if the cold's got to go somewhere. So if it's in the lower 48, you better believe further to the north it's probably going to be on the warmer side. And it's just the opposite when the lower 48 is on the well above average side, that Alaska turns cold, northern portions of Canada turns cold, Greenland turns colder again. And that's exactly what's going to happen by the time we get into next Friday. And it can get pretty cold again in Alaska. Let's zoom in on Alaska, right? I mean, we got all these temperatures are well below zero. 25, 30, 34 below zero. Up here in northern portions of Alaska, 45 below zero. So that's where the Arctic air goes, is well to the north by the time we head into next week. So let's give you the breakdown. So basically between now, where you are experiencing those very colder temperatures, between now and Monday, for your normals, you're still going to be overall below average in these areas as the Arctic air retreats, right? But you got the ridge trying to build back in. And so overall for the next 5 days, here's your overall precipitation that's coming in, between now and your Tuesday. So we got our winter storm that is in the process of winding down, but we have another storm system coming in on your Tuesday timeframe that's going to lay a swath of precipitation. Notice the midsection of the country, you're pretty dry over the next 5 days, but you're also wet. The wetness comes back out west for your Pacific Northwest, for portions of California, not really all of California, but definitely central and northern California definitely gets into the action. Much of the desert Southwest more or less kind of remains dry, but there's your temperatures beyond that. So once we go into next week, here's your overall temperature trend. It's completely the opposite of what a lot of your areas saw this week, with those well below average temperatures. Now you have well above average temperatures. The only game in town is where your cooler is out west with that trough, but then the colder temperatures have retreated well to the north, back into Alaska, back into northern portions of Canada, back into Greenland by then. But then your overall precipitation for the next 10 days, this is how it's going to play out. So predominantly, much of Southern California continues to remain dry. Much of the desert Southwest continues to remain dry. So you'll have a pocket of dryness right here. All the action is going to be really along the coastal regions for the next overall 10 days of precipitation worth. But then we are going to have several storm systems. These are the systems that come in by the middle of next week, leaving that swath of precipitation through Missouri, through portions of Illinois and Indiana, and that swings across the southeast. Most of the heavier stuff remains out into the open waters, but you are going to get at least sporadic showers up here into the northeast. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me in the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.